Since 7th of July, Donald Trump has issued 26 tariff letters, viewers. But India remains an exception, indicating that negotiations are ongoing and have not broken they're not broken down as they have with other nations. In fact, viewers, almost every American ally or partner, whether it's the EU, Canada, South Korea, Mexico, Philippines, have all witnessed tariff action. But this means that India's strategy has so far worked. But in a mercurial Trump administration, things are far from over. As things stand, New Delhi is facing a three-front tariff war, from Trump's reciprocal tariffs to levies on pharma, which are also expected to hit on the 1st of August, in just a fortnight, in fact. And then there are those possible duties for importing Russian oil, while a high-level Indian trade team is in Washington to iron out the final contours of a potential India-US trade pact. Washington is hitting New Delhi with a half-baked tariff policy, threatening key sectors, pharma, oil being some of them. In fact, US is India's largest pharma sector and market, with exports touching almost $10 billion. New Delhi supplying 47% of the generic American drugs, a low-cost supplier for high-quality drugs. A 20% duty on drugs will severely squeeze the Indian pharma companies' margins, but will also hurt the American consumer, and that's the larger thing here. Let's now also focus on the other aspect of the Trump tariff volley, which is the NATO chief's comment. He spoke about and said that he's warning countries like India not to buy Russian oil, or else they will be slapped with over 100% as secondary tariffs. First, hear what he said, and then we come back and tell why Mark Rutte is completely wrong.
That President Trump said, basically, if Russia is not serious about peace talks, within 50 days, he will slam secondary sanctions on countries like India, China and Brazil. So my encouragement to these three countries particularly is, if you live now in Beijing or in Delhi, or you are the president of Brazil, you might want to take a look into this, because this might hit you very hard.
Now, viewers, Mark has been in his present role as NATO chief for just over 9 months. But the Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for 3.5 years. And in this time, India has continued to buy Russian oil. In fact, Russia's share in India's overall oil imports has risen from under 2% to now over 35%, ahead of traditional suppliers like the Saudis, like Iraq. And since the Ukraine war started, Russia started offering heavy discounts to those who were buying its oil. Moscow needed to fund its war economy, and India, which imports about 88% of its oil, did find a cheaper alternative. And Trump, remember, is transactional, he is mercurial. Well, if Russian oil is out of the market, it is higher, then that prices will have an impact on the American consumer as well. So which is why the NATO chief seems to be out of sync with how global economics will be impacted, how politicians around the world will be impacted, and which is why when he schools countries like India about do not buy Russian oil, he seems to be disconnected with how some of the other politicians, including Donald Trump, are unlikely to take this bait.